going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Rustomod. So I've always wanted to do a sign painter, kind of like you see on some old cars and trucks. I really think that looks really cool, but I don't really have the skills to do that, and I would love to find somebody to do that, but finding somebody to do that these days is getting really hard to find. So I did the next best thing and tried to figure it out myself, tried to do a replicated sign painter paint on the side of the C10. So I want to show you guys how I did it, and maybe you guys could try to do something similar on your hot rod. So let's get to it. Alright, so the first thing I did was I found a font that I wanted, brought it into Adobe Illustrator, and then just kind of played around with some things, see how I wanted it to look. I settled on this design, and so now I'm going to take it over to our vinyl cutter and then cut out basically a template that I'm going to use to paint it. So that way I don't have to rely on being exactly perfect with the way that it's going to look. So we're going to cut the vinyl out, and then I'll show you guys what we're going to do next. Alright, so we got our vinyl cut out on here. It's kind of hard to tell on camera, but now we're just going to peel off all the letters, and then you can see what it's going to look like. Okay, so now that we got all the stickers peeled off, you can kind of see what it's going to look like. So the hard part with doing a sticker like this in this font is there's blank spaces like this, which if you peel this off, obviously these aren't going to come with it. So we're going to put some transfer tape over the whole thing, so that way it holds all that into place. So when we put it on the truck, we can peel the transfer tape back off and it'll hold it right where it's supposed to be. So it might be a little difficult with some spots like these smaller ones, but we're going to try that and see how that works. Alright, so now I got the transfer tape on so this stuff won't come off. So now I just got to cut it out and see what it looks like on the car. Alright, so now we got that basic stencil printed out. Now we just got to line it up on the car to see what we think it's going to look like, and then make sure it's perfectly aligned where we want it, and then we can go ahead and stick it on.
We're doing the whole thing. Just make sure you start at the center and work your way out. Yeah. And try not to get any bubbles in it, but this is so easy to work with. Yeah. It doesn't really get any bubbles.
Alright, so we put soap and water on the door, and then when we put the vinyl on, it would allow us to move it around some. So now we're just squeegeeing all the soap and water out. Probably put a little too much soap and water in it, so just trying to get all that stuff out of there. And then we'll pull the transfer tape off, and then we can paint it and then pull the vinyl off. So turning out pretty good so far. Now that we got this side done, I'm going to basically just measure to where we had it on this side and then just duplicate it on the other side, so it's a little bit easier to figure out where it's going to go. So we'll do that, duplicate it on the other side, and then get to the same stage on both sides. We'll mask the whole door and then go ahead and paint it. Okay, so we got this side done now, and then we got the other side done. So now all I gotta do is mask the rest of the door, and we can go ahead and start to try to paint this. I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit, get all the soap and water and stuff that we put behind it out of it, and mask the door up, and we can go ahead and paint it. All right, got it completely masked off. So now I'm gonna paint it. So I'm gonna paint it the same color I did with the wheels, kind of almond color, off-white. But I'm gonna start with a primer that's brown, so I can kind of de-age it a little bit, kind of rust it up. So I'll start with this, but then add a little bit of texture to it with the rusty metal primer, so that way it doesn't look like I just sprayed it. So try to age it a little bit. So all that's left is to paint it. So I got this side masked off, and I got this side masked off pretty good. So hopefully this turns out pretty good. Spray painting the side of your truck is kind of nerve-wracking a little bit. All right, so got the primer on there. It's just a red and a little bit of brown. So that's what that looks like. This is majority brown. So thought that would look kind of cool. Anyway, I kind of did something similar on the tailgate. So put like the Chevrolet thing and then kind of ground it down a little bit. So we'll see how this turns out. Letting it dry, and then I'll hit it with the cream color. Okay, got both sides painted, so this is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna try to pull it off, so we'll see what it looks like. I don't want to wait for it to completely dry, so I want to be able to have it a little wet so it doesn't stick to the vinyl. So we'll see what this looks like. I've never done this before. I hope it turns out pretty good. If it looks really bad, then we can always just redo it with some lacquer thinner and try again. So anyway, we'll see what it looks like. Hopefully it looks pretty cool. So pretty excited to pull it off. All right, so that's what it looks like. We're gonna let it dry a little bit, and then we can start to kind of age it a little bit, distress it some. But it looks pretty good. It turned out really well. Some spots I kind of either didn't tape enough, or when we pulled it off, the tape was peeling it. But it turned out pretty good. So we're going to let it dry overnight and then come back tomorrow and try to mess with it some more. All right guys, we're back on the sign painting on the C10. I let it dry for a few days. It came out pretty good, and I'm gonna touch it up now, fix some spots, and I'm gonna try to distress it a little bit. So we're gonna make it look like it wasn't just spray painted on, but try to age it a little bit to match the look of the truck. So I'll show you guys what we're gonna do. So when you saw me paint this for the first time, I painted it brown, and then we went over it with this cream color. And I painted it brown because I wanted to try to sand it down in some spots so it looks kind of similar to the look of the rest of the truck. The truck isn't horribly rusted or patinaed or anything. It just has some spots and scratches and stuff like that. But the sign painter kind of looks like I just did it. So I'm gonna try to distress it a little bit, but not overly do it because it would kind of take away from the look of the original truck. So I'll kind of show you guys what I did on the tailgate. The tailgate's kind of similar. It was black. This is actually an aftermarket tailgate. and I kind of just scuffed it up a little bit and I painted it brown and then white, same kind of deal. But I'm gonna try to do that on the side, that way it kind of matches the rest of the truck and it looks a little bit older. So I got some Scotch-Brite and I got some sandpaper. Gonna try to figure out which one works best. Probably Scotch-Brite is a little bit softer, but it is pretty thick, so we'll have to play with it. But I'm gonna try to sand it down a little bit. There is some spots where there was some overspray, like in here and a few other spots on the other side. So gonna clean all that up, but overall it turned out pretty good. So I'm excited to see what it's gonna look like. Alright, it might be kind of hard to tell on camera, but that's pretty much the look I'm going for. Just trying to scuff it up a little bit so it kind of matches the look of the truck. Don't want to go overboard with it because, you know, the truck, like I said, it's not too bad. If it was like the F100 or something, it would be a lot more intense. But with this truck, you know, you don't want to make it look obviously that we just did it. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do to the other side. So we'll do that, wash off the whole truck, and get some patina sauce on this thing, and we should be ready for Hot Rod Power Tour. So let's do it. Alright, so I got the passenger side done. So what seemed to work the best was hitting it with the Scotch-Brite wheel that I had on the little Milwaukee grinder, but doing that by hand, and then going over the whole thing with the pad of Scotch-Brite, and then on the little Milwaukee grinder just touching up some spots because it's kind of thick, kind of hard to get through it. You really have to scrub pretty hard, so just going very, very lightly with the little Milwaukee hand tool works pretty well. So anyway, didn't want to go crazy overboard and make it look blatantly obvious, but I think it turned out pretty good. So gonna go to the car wash this thing off, and then clean it up, and we should be ready to go for Hot Rod Power Tour. So really looking forward to hitting the road with this thing. All right, we got this thing cleaned up, just washed it real quick. So now I'm going to throw some of the patina sauce kit on it, just do the detailer, some degreaser, and of course the patina sauce. Clean it up a little bit, and we should be ready to go for Hot Rod Power Tour. Really excited to go this year. So let's clean this thing up and we should be ready to hit the road. All right, we got the C10 cleaned up with the sweet patina, and it looks pretty good. Definitely a lot shinier, makes the paint pop, and also makes the sign that we did pop on the side. So I'm gonna let that dry for a few minutes and see what that looks like. But then I'm gonna hit it with the happy ending. They call it their final detailer, and it really makes this thing last for quite a while. Last time I did this, it lasted a really long time. So gonna do that, and then we should be all done with the sweet patina kit. Really turned out pretty good. So gonna hit it real quick and should be wrapped up. right, guys, I think the C10 turned out pretty good. So we did the sign painter on the door and we cleaned it up. So that should be it, and we should be ready to go for Hot Rod Power Tour. So if you guys are going to Hot Rod Power Tour, make sure you stop by, say hello. We'll see you on the road. And if not, we'll be posting videos almost all week, so you can follow along, see all the cool stuff that we're doing on Power Tour. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe so you can see all the awesome content that we have on the channel. Make sure you check out our Patina party, and make sure you check out Sweet Patina, because they supplied us with all the awesome Sweet Patina products that allowed us to clean up the C10 and make it look as nice as it does. So we have a discount code I'll put below, and you can get a discount on some of the Sweet Patina products on the website. So I'll link all that stuff down below, but thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.